Australia is banning children from social media. A lot of Minecraft YouTubers are going to lose their girlfriend. Welcome to Australia, where the government says if you're 10 years old, you can't handle a Facebook account, but you can handle being locked in prison. Look, most people agree that children should not be on social media, except for Mr. Beast and your weird uncle that goes to Thailand every year. The question is, how will this law be enforced? Am I going to need a license to watch people get head injuries on Instagram Reels? Will it be illegal to be anonymous online? If so, everyone writing fan fiction about their favorite faceless YouTuber is going to find out that they're actually a 3. And if we're banning children from social media, why don't we also ban old people? Sure, TikTok can make teen girls feel ugly and Discord can turn gamer boys into furries, but Facebook can make boomers storm the Capitol and Twitter can make your father ruin Christmas. What? They can say it in their music, but I can't say it when I'm posting crime statistics in comment sections? I thought this was America. Look, all I'm saying is we might miss the kids being online. How am I going to know what's cringe and what's Sigma if Gen Alpha aren't in comment sections telling millennials to end it if they have negative canthal tilt? God, why do I know what any of that means? I said that sentence and wanted to ban myself from social media. If we ban kids from social media, what's going to happen to the ones that are already addicted? This means that in the future, we'll have an entire generation of social media poisoned iPad babies whose younger siblings will be raised on Murdoch media and television. The older kids are going to hate reading, but their younger siblings are going to hate immigrants. I'm Lewis Spears. Like, subscribe, and come see me live. Welcome back to Lou Review. Let's break it down.
Social media is doing harm to our kids, and I'm calling time on it.
Thanks so much for the love on all the recent videos. I've been reading the comments and laughing. What's really cool about me trying to put as many jokes into these videos is that I'm actually seeing you guys writing your own jokes that are making me laugh and making me upset for not thinking of them in the first place and putting them into the video. I love that. So if you're writing jokes along with me and putting them in the comment section, keep it up. I'm laughing at them so much. Thanks so much for engaging and liking. It really helps the channel. This one's so good. This is on the Johnny Somali video. He goes, man quite literally learned what you cannot fast travel when enemies are nearby means. Because they had his hotel surrounded and the airport as well, he couldn't leave South Korea. No fast traveling. Great joke. In the latest piece of news that would explode the brain of your average Texan, Australia wants to ban children from social media platforms. Every single one of them. In this video, I'm going to break down the proposed law. I'm going to tell you what I actually think about this law. I'm going to tell you what I think the worst case scenario of this law will be and what the best case scenario of this law will be. But at this point, it looks like it's passing no matter what anyone thinks about it. So, as we all know, social media is not good for children, all right? We shouldn't have them on it. They shouldn't be allowed to be on it, but they all are. Every kid is getting addicted to social media, to apps, to iPads, and all that kind of stuff, and it's literally destroying their minds from the inside. It's making them insecure. It's making them have political opinions that they shouldn't even know about. Like, why does my 10-year-old have an opinion on immigration? He shouldn't even know how to say that word, but one thing's for sure, because of the addiction to apps, he can't read that word. So many kids, the illiteracy rate is growing at a huge rate, and it's because of addiction to social media and apps and phones and all that stuff. So we all know that it's bad, but this is the first time that a country has ever decided to make a law about children's access to social media. I am, of course, excluding dictatorship. Sorry, China. Here's what our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, has to say about this law.
I want to talk to Australian parents. We're making 16 years old the minimum age for social media. Too often, social media isn't social at all, and we all know that. The truth is, it's doing harm to our children, and I'm calling time on it.
Anthony Albanese is the least charismatic Prime Minister we've had for a long time, and we had this guy.
Okay, well, tell me, what's the context, and if it's out of context, what is the context? You're not saying anything, Tony.
Unironically, watching Tony Abbott's brain malfunction on television is much more compelling than any planned speech that Anthony Albanese has.
The onus will be on the social media companies, not on parents or young people. There will be no penalties for users.
That is the most Australian way to announce legislation ever. Just them going, oh, we're going to make this illegal, but we're not going to police it. We're not going to have any penalties. We're just going to tell the other businesses to figure it out and she'll be right, mate. Like, that's the most Australian shit ever. You know, with this law, they've just said, oh, we're going to make it illegal for anyone under 16 to use social media. They haven't actually articulated exactly how that's going to work. They haven't even identified specifically what social media means. They've just kind of introduced the title of the law. They're going to pass it, and then they have 12 months to figure out what the law actually is and how it will be applied. It's the most laid-back shit ever. This is like when you were running for school captain and you're like, oh, under my school captaincy, I'm going to make recess twice as long and every kid will get one free pass to get away with one crime. It's like, you're just saying things, dude. You're just saying shit. You're not actually able to implement any of this stuff.
And we are acting to deliver that positive change that will make a real difference.
Again, unbelievably vague. So how are you going to apply this law? We're going to make a positive difference. Okay, well, how?
I've spoken to thousands of parents, grandparents, aunties and uncles. They, like me, are worried sick about the safety of our kids online. And I want Australian parents and families to know that the government has your back.
This is the most boring man of all time. This guy is delivering a speech to the country like me doing a school report in science class. I didn't write this. I got Wikipedia to do it for me, and I do not care at all about my job. I know I'm losing the next election. I'm just going to pass this because I don't like reading mean comments on my social media from children. Thank you.
The legislation will come into force 12 months after passage. There will be a review of the legislation following its commencement to make sure. This is world-leading legislation. We want to make sure that it is got right. The E-Safety Commissioner will issue regulatory guidance setting out what reasonable steps can be taken by platforms, and that will be informed by the age assurance trial.
He literally just said, we're passing this law and then we'll figure it out and we'll make all of the companies enforce the law instead of us. And if they don't agree with our arbitrary, ill-thought-out plan, we'll fine them heaps of money because they're the bad guys, even though we haven't really done our job and thought this out properly. Like, this is wild. And yes, I do agree, social media is terrible for children and they should not be on it. But I don't see how you can pass this law without doing tyranny on every single person above 16. How are you going to enforce this? This to me just seems like a law that's going to make being anonymous online illegal. Like, am I going to have to upload my ID to use Instagram? Am I going to have to tell every single website that has any sort of social interaction my home address, give them my credit card details? Like, how is this actually going to work without just punishing every single adult in the country and really, really heavily censoring the internet? I don't see how this goes through without doing tyranny on everyone who isn't an adult. And a lot of these concerns that I and many other people have are echoed by this open letter that was written by experts in the field to the government, asking many questions that it appears the government has not thought about when it comes to this law. Pulling it up here. Dear Prime Ministers and Premiers, we write to you about the proposal to ban children from social media until the age of 16 years old. We understand the risk that social media has for children and young people, and these are well documented. Then it goes on to ask a few questions about the law. Any restrictions in the digital world must therefore be designed with care, and we are concerned that a ban is too blunt an instrument to address risks effectively. Bans affect rights to access and participation. The UN Committee on the Rights of the Child states that national policies should be aimed at providing children with the opportunity to benefit from engaging with the digital environment and ensuring their safe access to it. Essentially saying that if you don't allow kids on social media and then one day, as soon as they hit 16 and one day year old, you give them every single platform at once, they won't know how to use it. They won't know how to keep themselves safe on it at all. It's kind of like the idea of sex education. How do you stop children from contracting STIs and getting pregnant when they don't want to if you don't teach them anything about birth control or safe sex practices? Implementing a ban effectively remains a challenge. There are not yet effective techniques for age assurance nor to verify parental consent, and privacy concerns remain. And that's exactly right. Sure, you want to ban kids from social media, but is that going to mean I'm going to have to give you my passport, my ID, my home address, and every other piece of information to verify that I'm an adult? This law has nothing to do with me, right? So why would I have to do anything? The last 2 points I really agree with. This creates even more risks for children who may still use platforms. It means that platforms would be disincentivized from offering child safety features for any younger users, so that any kid who manages to slip through this incredibly easy to slip through law is going to be completely unprotected when they sneak on social media. And this fails to drive up safety standards on platforms children will be allowed to use. Some social media type services appear too integral to childhood to be banned, for example, short-form video streamers. But these too have safety risks, like risks of dangerous algorithms promoting risky content. A ban does not function to improve the products that children will be allowed to use. Basically, they're saying, okay, well, if you're not going to ban things like YouTube or Twitch or other services that are more content-based, these services in Australia have absolutely no incentive to improve the safety for children and to limit what they see on their platforms. And these concerns that these experts have raised are really something that I do agree with. And we're going to get into what the best case scenario with this law will be under my interpretation. But I really do think that the realistic scenario with this law is that adults are not going to be anonymous online, which I view as a human right. You think about people that are fleeing domestic violence, people that are being stalked, people that have jobs that don't allow them to be on social media, to voice their opinion. All of these people are going to be put in dangerous, at worst scenarios, or scenarios where they're going to lose their job for tweeting out anything or their opinion that might offend their employer. I think anonymity is really, really, really important, and it's one of the foundational pillars of what the internet is and should be, that making me upload my identification just to use a website doesn't make any sense. Also, let's slow it down a little bit and ask ourselves, what is social media? Does it even have an actual concrete, clear definition? Obviously, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, those are social medias, super easy to identify. But is Discord social media? It's got messaging, it's got groups, you can talk to strangers on there. I would say, I guess, yes, that's social media. But if Discord is social media, does that mean that texting is social media? iMessage? You can message the same people, you can have group chats, it's the same functionality as Discord, there's just less furries there. So does that mean that kids won't be allowed to text? They need to be able to text because they need to be able to text their parents and tell people where they are. So if they can text, then they should be allowed to use Discord, but Discord is social media. It's really vague, these laws. Are video games social media? Are video games with chat functionality social media? I see that in the government's information brochure, they've included Roblox as a social media, which, yeah, I guess a lot of children use it and there is a chat functionality, but does that mean that for me to play World of Warcraft, I'm going to have to give them my identification? Does that mean that every single video game with any sort of social interaction, even if it's just emotes, I'm going to have to give them my identification to use? Children won't be able to play them. What about children's games that have chat functionalities? Like, is that social media? Kinda. Yeah, I would say that it is. How is this even going to be enforced? This seems ridiculous and difficult to implement. And what about YouTube? Is this social media? I mean, kinda yes, kinda no. Does this mean that every single kid under 16 is not going to be able to watch YouTube, or will they just not be able to create an account on YouTube? And if they can watch it but they can't create an account, how are you going to make sure that children aren't seeing content like mine? If a 10-year-old can't have an account, are they going to see my stuff? They kind of need an account so that YouTube knows they're a child so that they don't send my stuff to them. The more I think about this ban, the less thought out it appears to be, and the more complex and difficult it seems for the government to implement and actually help anyone without doing tyranny on most people in the country. But enough about me, a guy who understands social media and the internet thinks about this. Let's have a look at what the boomers on Sky News think about this ban.
Let's talk social media. National Cabinet, they met today. They don't meet face-to-face anymore. It's all over Zoom, which I thought had been run out of town, but apparently not. Joe, a social media ban...
What a great way to introduce a story about social media by just trashing one of the most used tools for workplace communication, Zoom, video calls. Like, brother, you're literally on a Zoom right now. You're on Sky News. You guys are video conferencing. They used to do journalism in studios. You're on a Zoom call, brother! Introducing a topic I don't understand in any way at all. I would like to demonstrate before we begin that I'm a fucking moron. Let's begin.
I always am suspicious when Labor and Liberal work together what the real motive is, but just so everyone knows, it wasn't an Albanese policy.
Actually,
well, how are they going to make it work? They say they're going to get
put it on our front page.
Oh my God, with the amount that they're talking over the top of each other, they should have done this on Zoom. Zoom, the latency is a lot better than whatever technology they're using. They're trying to have a conversation. Why are people who don't even know how to do a video conference talking about social media and what their opinions are on it? You might as well get Elon Musk to do a keynote speech about how to keep a wife and raise children that love you.
I think just as a parent,
well, they say the big tech guys are going to be the ones that have to implement. How's that going to happen?
They're still talking over each other. Can we just get you guys on a Zoom call, please? Now no one's talking, bro. This interview was a disaster. I didn't watch this before the video. I just pulled it up because I thought it would be funny to see old people try and talk about social media. And so far, no one can even start or finish a sentence because they don't know how a Zoom call works.
No, but just telling your kids that something is against the law is helpful. It puts the fear of God into them. And also having those barriers there, even if kids are able to have workarounds or will be, you know, I mean, there's ways, for example, you know, you can get behind paywalls. That doesn't mean that newspapers just suddenly abandon paywalls, because most people do the right thing, and it serves as a really strong psychological barrier, and it's a great aid to parents.
That is a good point that Joe Hildebrand has made. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. Basically, the best faith interpretation of this law, right? Even though I have real reservations about how they're going to implement this and the effects that it will have on older people, I do agree with the spirit of the law in the sense that I don't think kids should be on social media. It's not good for them. It's not good for social media. It's just bad, right? The best faith interpretation of this law is that it's a law that is easily worked around, that kids will be able to get around, but every single child will know that it's illegal to be on social media. Every single parent will have a really easy response to, Mum, can I be on Instagram? Dad, can I get on TikTok? They'll say, no, it's illegal. And the kids that do get around these laws, right, if the laws are enforced by the social media companies, you would think that every single kid that gets around these laws will be really, really, really hiding and disguising the fact that they are children, which means they probably won't be posting photos of themselves. They won't be engaging in comment sections too much. So that will keep them safe from predators, which, as we know, is a huge problem on social media. And these people seek out kids that post themselves and prey on them, right? So if every child in Australia, even the ones that are on social media, is hiding, that's probably a good thing.
Now, you two, I'm not a chocolate person. I don't particularly like chocolate. I'm pretty rare, I guess. But we've got pictures here that appeared online of a block of Cadbury chocolate on a shelf at Woolworths, priced at $7. And we've got packets of Tim Tams being sold. Okay, now they're talking about chocolates for some reason, and it's in the same clip. So whoever uploaded this doesn't even know how to title a YouTube video or edit, all right? This is a different video. Can you believe that everyone under 16, this is what they're going to have to watch? Sky News? That's going to be way worse than coming out as an iPad baby is coming out as a Sky News baby. There won't be much of a difference. Just like the iPad babies, they won't be able to read. They'll be dumb as hell, but they'll also be quite racist.
Hoping his social media ban gets the thumbs up, Anthony Albanese connects with his own online network of friends.
What we're hoping to do is to get your endorsement.
National Cabinet happy to subscribe, making 16 the new minimum age to use social media.
We support a national approach to it.
Tasmania wanted a cut-off of 14.
Gee, I thought they were talking about a different law then when it comes to Tasmania.
Admitting the bans won't solve all the problems, Anthony Albanese says what they will do is send a social message to the social networks about what society thinks is appropriate.
Do you think that Elon Musk is going to play along with these laws? I don't, all right? This guy let his entire app be banned in several countries and was just like, whatever, I don't need your massive user base. I don't think that Elon Musk is going to play ball on X, which is horrific because Twitter is by far the worst app for even adults, all right? It's bad for you. It makes you insane. It makes you hate everyone. And all you see when you open up that app is just murder, death, porn, and racism. That's it. That's the only thing that you see. And that's what 12-year-olds are going to see logging on to Twitter because Elon Musk is going to be like, I actually am under no obligation to protect even my own children or look after them. What makes you think I'm going to look after Australia's? No.
The tech giants say they shouldn't be responsible for keeping kids off their platforms, arguing age verification should start at the app stores.
That is a good point from the social media companies. It really does seem like a lot of admin work that's unnecessary would go into digital ID verification for every single website that every single person uses, when really, if you have to do ID verification, which I don't think we should have to do, the only way to do it that makes sense is in a more centralized location. I would feel much more comfortable if I have to do it with just Apple and the Android store knowing my ID than every single website and every single social media app and every single video game that I play knowing everything about me, my ID, maybe where I live if I'm uploading my driver's license. I would much prefer to give it to just one app store than hundreds of websites.
So how will it work? Users would be forced to verify their age with ID or even biometric tools like face scanning.
Yeah, cool. I'm going to have to give my biometric data to Grindr so I can cheat on my wife. This is crazy. Every time I think about giving my ID to hundreds of websites and apps, I just think about every single data leak in the history of the internet. But the worst things that get leaked is like email addresses. You look at the Ashley Madison scam. Email addresses ruined so many lives. And I'm not defending these people, but I'm here to say that like internet privacy is unbelievably important. And if the government is just going, oh yeah, it's up to the websites to figure it out, I don't want to trust hundreds of websites and apps with my very personal data and information, my ID, my biometric data. That is crazy. There has to be a better solution to this.
Ban every child under the age of 16 is really a fiction. Children could access a VPN, for example, and fool the system into thinking they're not in Australia.
Okay, I'm all for the ban. I've just decided that I'm all for the ban because you know what? I'm gonna sell a lot of VPNs, aren't I? All right? Every single Australian creator is going to be bankrolled by the VPN industry. So you know what? I'm all for the ban. And stay tuned for my discount code, kids. We'll get you back on Pornhub in no time.
A child could access content on an older sibling's device or on a shared device within the home.
This all comes down to, yes, social media is terrible for children. They should not be on it. Apps need to do way more to keep kids off their platforms, and they intentionally do as little as possible because they like making money out of the psychological distress of children, all right? That's what it all comes down to. I just don't see how making this a law doesn't end up to be tyranny on everybody else. How about this? Does this mean that every single tourist that comes to Australia, as soon as they land, they're going to have to upload their ID to use any sort of app that they use in their home country? Like, I just see so many issues with implementing this. But again, like I promised, the best faith interpretation of this law is that it's kind of a law that has no teeth and that kids can get around, but it becomes more of a cultural thing of it's about the kids that are 5 years old today never getting on social media until they're 16. It's not so much about the kids now that are already addicted to phones, that are already going through social media addiction and the psychological damage that can do to children. It's more so about protecting the kids that are really young now from ever getting an account, because it gives mums and dads a really easy no of like, no, you can't have a smartphone with social media apps on it because it's illegal. Sorry. And then some kids will get around it, but most kids probably won't. But at the end of the day, it will protect every kid from the age of 0 to 14 pretty much from being on socials, because around 15, 16, that's when people are going to get around it with VPNs and stuff. But I don't know. It makes me very nervous. I don't like it being legislation. I agree with the spirit of the law. I don't see how it can be implemented, and neither does the government, because they haven't really detailed how at all, even down to the point of not defining specifically what a social media app or website even is. So we'll see how this plays out. I'll keep you updated. Thanks for watching. I'm Lewis Spears. Like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you in a few days.
Hey guys, how's Lewis going on about tyranny? To be honest, I didn't even know what the word tyranny was until I watched that hilarious viral video from 2017. Come on, guys, you remember it. Is anyone here a doctor? LOL. No, I'm not a doctor, but I do remember this guy.
Once you give up your liberty for security, what you end up with is tyranny. Tyranny. Tyranny.